What's going on, everybody? Cheers and welcome to this week's episode of the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with her own two hands. I am your host, Bogi, and I am a master auto mechanic by trade, but I am a proud supporter of women killing it in all of the different industrial trades. And tonight we have a guest will be joining us from Toronto. She is in the construction world and has her own contracting and construction company that is predominantly female. And she has been killing it for a couple of decades now, working construction. And I'm really thrilled to have her on and get to hear more about her story and about her business. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy getting to know her as well. Before we dive into that, quick thank you to all of you guys for being part of this journey of normalizing women in the trades. Every one of you who comes back week after week to be a part of this series, I so appreciate your support. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe, leave comments down below. The more you do that, the more the algorithm spreads this out into the world so that more young women particularly get to see these episodes and meet these incredible women and be inspired by them, because if she can see it, she can be it. But also so that men can see it, because the more men see women working in these roles, the more likely they are to not be caught off guard by it when they see women out in the field, or be taken aback, or say the things that they so often say to us. And as our guest will talk about, and something that she makes light of in a lot of her social media videos and content, but in a very powerful way. I think you guys are really going to enjoy her. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest for tonight, Miss Anastasia Plaskos. Hello, lovely. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm so glad that we've finally been able to connect. It's been
I know it's
a long time.
It's taken some time, but here we are, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So really quickly, just introduce the fine folks at home to yourself, who you are, where you are, and just in a nutshell, what you do.
Sure. So basically, as you know, my name is Anastasia. I own a all-female renovation company called Fix It Females. We are based in the GTA of Toronto, which is in Ontario, in Canada. We do all types of renovations. So we do anything from excavations, additions, basements, bathrooms, kitchens, main floor renovations. We do absolutely everything, and we are predominantly female teams. So yeah, I mean, we've been renovating here in Toronto. I've been in this industry for almost 21 years, I think. And I'm still 25 though.
I know. I love that moment where I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 years. God, that makes me old.
I know. I'm just kind of like, wait a sec. How have I done this for so long if I'm only 30, you know?
Because I'm not only 30 anymore.
I know. Oh, well. So yeah.
Older and wiser.
Exactly. It comes with experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've been renovating here in Toronto. I've been in the industry for almost 21 years now, and Fix It Females is on its 10th year as of this summer.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's actually end of July, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Almost your anniversary.
Yeah. How haven't I planned anything for that?
I know. I was going to say nothing big planned for that.
I'm too busy organizing a million other things.
Just add that to your list of things to do, right?
Too many hats, I tell you. Too many hats. I wear so many hats. You know, we thought of one of our social media videos to be me just talking, wearing like it going to all these different hats.
Yes.
It was my mom's idea, actually. I thought it was pretty funny.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. For those of you who don't know, you have to follow her on social media, because they do some of the best little videos and skits. And I want to applaud you, because you know, talking about gender and talking about bias within the industry and talking about all of that stuff, like it's a difficult, complicated topic, right? And like, we live it every day, and it's really easy to go jaded and angry. It's really easy to like, I tend to be very serious about it because that's just my nature. I'm a very serious person, but you guys have managed to like really approach it with this lighthearted, comical, fun way that still drives home the point like really well. I have to applaud you for your content. It's really fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's definitely a group effort. My brother is usually the mastermind behind the majority of our videos, but we
Okay.
all come up with the content, and we'll sit here and we'll brainstorm. Like, he'll ask me stories. He'll be like, okay, what's happened like in your career? And I'll tell him, I say, something like this happened or something like that happened. And he'll say, okay, elaborate on that and let's make a video of it. So the idea behind the what men say to us,
Mm-hmm.
that's actual comments we've like physically have received.
Oh, I believe it. 100% believe it.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of women say some weird stuff to us as well. But the things that I've heard, like when I used to be on the job sites, and this is literally 20 years ago now, and I would hear all this crazy stuff. So I would start telling my brother about it, and he's like, "Oh my God, let's make this into a video." And I said, "Yeah, let's just overdo it and just drive that wedge into people." And we obviously know what we're doing, right? People get on there, and these people are writing these comments under the videos saying like, "This is man hating," and da da da. And it's like, come on, get real. I have no qualms about that. Like, I'm such an easygoing person. I get along with everybody, no matter the gender, but it is fun to play on this concept. I mean, at the end of the day, this is why I created Fix It Females in the first place.
Right.
I didn't feel comfortable working for men in the industry because they treated me so differently. So what makes it not okay for me to poke fun at that now? Right. And majority of people love it. People see me in the street, recognize me. I went out a couple of weeks ago and someone said to me, "Oh my God, you're Anastasia from TikTok." And I thought, wait, me? what are you talking about? Yeah, I've seen your Fix It Females. It's so cool and hilarious. And it's so funny. Like, it's happened to me several times. So, and it got out, right? Like we went viral a few times on a few of our videos, but they're hilarious. It's all in good fun. We're not meaning to make fun of or poke fun at anybody, but we do have fun with it. And these are real life experiences for us, and a majority of the people that comment on these videos are people that have never had to experience that. Right. So
100% perfectly stated. They've not had to experience it. And it is amazing to me how often people like to negate the lived experiences, right? Like, I will say point blank that I have had, and it's true, I've had multiple shops, upwards of 20, tell me point blank that they would never hire me because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman.
yeah.
And yet, when I say that, I will inevitably get at least 1 to 20 comments from men saying, "That doesn't happen."
Yep.
You're
because
right.
they've never experienced it, right? How have they? They're men. They
Right.
don't
Exactly.
You're a man. The most common thing we get from males is like, "Oh, the man hating and what is even mansplaining?" That's like the majority of the stuff that we hear. And it's like, I sit back and sometimes me and my brother chuckle about it, right? And we think it's because you've never experienced that, right? It's like, you can compare it to other things that maybe we've experienced that someone else hasn't, or someone else has experienced that we haven't. And until you're in those situations and in those scenarios, how would you possibly know what somebody could or would feel?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. A fish in water doesn't know that they're wet. And yet it would behoove one who has not experienced something to listen to those who have experienced it and believe them.
Exactly.
Like, that's my wish.
I always welcome the comments because it fuels our next video. Like, I have so many screenshots on my phone of just like absolutely ridiculous comments where I send to my brother and I'm like, "This is our next video."
100%.
Like the mustache. I don't know if you saw the mustache one.
Yes. Tell the folks at home if they haven't seen it. And guys, I'll put the link in the description below so that you can watch it. But
so I have a couple of favorites, but this one is it's just so accurate and hilarious. It's basically one of our staff members comes in with this insanely ridiculously large mustache on, and me and Shay look at her, which is my coworker, and we look at her and we say, "What is on your face?" And she's like, "Oh, it's my emergency mustache." And she rips it off because, like, basically, in essence, when you have a mustache on, it's signifying that you're quote unquote a man, right? And that how differently you would be treated if we were viewed as men versus when we take the mustache off and we're just females, presenting females, right? And we go through just a few segments of real life situations where it would be so accepted if we were male versus the fact that we're females. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, you just have to go watch it. It's hilarious. And there's a few of them like that. I've watched literally like 100 times a few of those videos, not just because they're mine, but just I find them really funny.
They are really funny, and they really illustrate, right? Like, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but when you illustrate it so clearly, like what is actually happening out there for women every day, and it is those like those tiny little things. Like, we talk about that on this series a lot, how sometimes it's the big egregious awful things, right? It's the sexual harassment, heaven forbid sexual assault, it's the all of like the really big stuff is happening, but often it's all that little stuff. It's the, like, you can't park there. Oh, you are a professional. Okay, got it. Right. It's all of those little tiny things where you're just constantly being questioned, and it is never it's always there that that you're not actually welcome. And that is exhausting, right? And I love that your videos point that out so clearly.
Yeah, me too. And that's what we are trying to, that's the message we're trying to convey, that, it is an unfair space. And I just feel like if we were more accepting as a society altogether in so many different aspects, that things would be a lot easier. I find that I felt like we were pushing forward so much in like that type of gender role. And I feel like now we're going a little bit more backwards. Right. And the reason I say that is because I've experienced this my whole life. I've always been a lesbian. I've always been very male presenting and more masculine presenting, except when I went through a little straight phase. But I've always been kind of looked at differently. And I felt like in the last maybe 5 years, things were getting a little bit easier. And now I'm feeling the same way I did when I was like 15 years old. Yeah. And it really sucks. And it's like, we have so many more people in the world, and we have so many more types of people in the world. And there's so much more, like, we're open to so many more things. And it's like, people are still just shutting down and treating people like trash. And, it's just, I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to me last week. I'm a very non-controversial person. Okay. I do not like arguments. I do not like fighting. I'm a Capricorn. So when things happen, I shut down more than I do become an argumentative person. Okay. So we had done, I'm not going to say any names, but we had completed this garage for a client of ours recently. And she had subbed out the garage door part of it, which included like a mechanical piece. And I told her we didn't feel comfortable doing it. So she hired this company to do it, right? So this job kind of shit hit the fan on. I won't lie. We had to redo a lot of the garage that we did. One of the sections that we had poured the concrete wasn't high enough, so I made the staff redo it. And so we do the framing. Everything's plumb square for this garage door company to install. And I said, come and check everything just to make sure that when you put the garage door in, nothing is off. I want you to approve it, the garage door company. Okay. Let's call him Rick. So I said, Rick, you come in, you check this out, you let me know. He comes in, he says, okay, it looks really good. Everything's square, everything's plumb. We should be good to go. There was one section of the framing that needed to be addressed, which was like like the frame. Oh, sorry, it's opposite. The framing needed to be like this, and we had it slightly like this. All it would have needed was one small adjustment. I said, no problem. If you want to do it, you go ahead. If you want us to do it, we'll do it. He said, no, 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 you guys do it. It's fine. So he comes in, and one of my newer staff was on site while he was present doing this installation. So he brings the garage door, he goes to install, and he says, oh, the adjustment wasn't done correctly. He goes, I'll do it. It'll take me 15 minutes. So my staff said, no problem. I'll wait. She waited there, literally took him 22 minutes. Okay. He leaves. He goes to the client that I'm working on, who's already frustrated with the negative things that already happened, and says to her, they did a terrible job on the framing. It took me 2 hours to fix it. This is a true story. Okay. It took me, what a garbage framing job they did. Just went on and on. He knew the backstory of what had happened with the garage and us having to redo it. So why not rub salt in the wound, right? Because people love negativity. They love to be negative and say negative shit about people all the time, especially a male-run company. And that's most of where our hate comes from, by the way, is our competitors. Okay. So anyway, yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, one of my staff came up to me and she goes, listen, it wasn't even the girl that was on site. Another girl came in. She goes, listen, this is what happened. I was furious. I wasn't angry. I was so mad that I actually needed to take a time out from work and figure out what I was going to do. So you know what I did? I went back into my emails of where my client sent me the note of how to do the frame. I looked up the company's little logo and I found out who it was, and I phoned them, and I must have called about 8 times over the course of the last 5 days. No answer, won't even return my call. But I just wanted to say to him, what was so atrocious in our framing that we did that stopped you from doing your work there? That took you 2 hours when I know it took you 20 minutes. What was so bad about our framing that you needed to negatively speak to our client who was already upset with us previously? And listen to me, I do everything in my power to make people happy. There's only so much I can do for certain individuals.
Sure.
But this, I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. It was so demeaning to me. Like, these are trained women who have been working in the trades for more than 5 years.
Yeah.
I've been in the trades for 20 years. Like, I'm not making a mistake that's going to cost a 2-hour repair.
Right. Well, and I feel like that's something that like is frustrating to me in the trades in general. Like male, female, doesn't matter. Like we shouldn't be undermining each other. Like we all know in the trades that mistakes happen, right?
Mhm.
That we are human beings, that we are fallible, that not everything happens perfectly. And what matters is not whether you make mistakes, it matters what you do when you make your mistake, right? Like,
Exactly.
do you fix it? Do you step up and take care of it? Or do you like, stomp off and be mad, right? So like we're human beings, things are imperfect. And why ever call out another tradesperson for making a mistake unless they've said, screw you, deal with it, right? If they're stepping up and taking care of their mistake, then that's all that we can ever ask from anybody. We shouldn't be undermining each other. It's a hard enough world, and there's enough distrust of tradespeople, and there's enough belief that we're out to screw people, even when we're not, that let's not reinforce that, guys. Like, let's have each other's backs a little.
A little bit. Like a
Yeah.
little bit. Like, you know what? Yeah, they messed up a little bit, but I fixed it. But then I
Yeah.
found out it was so he could bill her for the 2 hours, right?
Of course.
So it's like, it's just, I've created this successful company, and it's been thriving for almost 10 years now. And I've never done that to anyone. I have never, I mean, I would point out bad work when there's bad work. And I would say to my clients, like, you know what? They're probably charging $3,000 less than me because they're not going to give you the end result. And listen, I'm going to tell you something very honest and true. I'm an open book. I don't care. People will judge me, people will hate me, people will love me. I don't give a shit, okay? But what I will tell you is the truth. And however that makes you feel about me, that's your prerogative. But when I say to somebody, like, look, the timing of renovations is all over the place. Okay. Sometimes we finish bathrooms in 3 weeks. Sometimes we finish them in 6. It all depends on what you're going through during the renovation. And people don't get that. But you know what I say to my clients? They'll say to me, people get pissed off sometimes about the timeline, right? And I'll say to them, listen, you're going to forget about the fact that it took us 2 weeks longer to do this. But you know what you will not forget? You will not forget the fact that there's no imperfections in the walls. You will not forget that your shower was waterproofed properly. You will not forget how beautiful the end result looks. Had somebody come in here, you paid for what you get. When you pay them less, not necessarily all the time, okay? I want to be careful with what I say because not every situation is the same.
Sure.
But when you generally, if a bathroom is costing you $20,000 and you're paying 10 to someone else, they're going to cut corners.
Yeah.
You think my profit on a bathroom job is 10 grand? I'd be a millionaire. It's not. Materials that are quality cost quality and larger prices. It's just the matter of fact. So people will remember when something looks like shit versus when it doesn't. People will forget about the time. They always do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that is, it's so hard in auto repair, in construction, in so many of these trades. And you and I ran very similar businesses, even though they were in totally different fields, right? I had an auto repair shop, that it was a kind of higher end auto repair shop, and we were all female for the most part. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, people want to come in as customers and they want to compare apples to apples, but they're not apples to apples. It's, cheapy parts with somebody who's, their first year on the job versus good parts with somebody who's experienced. It makes a difference, right? And you can't compare one set of things to another because the price is going to be different. If somebody quotes you something insanely cheap, if it sounds too good to be true, guys, it probably is, right? Like,
exactly.
There's a reason why it's so much less expensive than everybody else, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? You can try and explain that to clients or customers or whatever industry that you're in, that quality, overpricing. But a lot of people don't care, and they don't care until it's too late, right? Like, in the beginning, when I think I did my first bathroom, I was like literally 18 years old when I did my first bathroom. I know. And I screwed up. I put the wrong style of waterproofing in, and I built this shower pan, and I didn't do the cement correctly. And 5 years later, the client contacted me, and I was like well established in another business by then. And I was probably about maybe 23 or 24. And I was in between, like, figuring out what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to pursue this 1000% guns a-blazing, or if I wanted to fall back a little bit. And at that point I was kind of a little overwhelmed, and, but I was still in a very good business that I had created. And of course I'm like 39 now. So that was a long time ago. And you know what? They messaged me and they were really upset, and I went and fixed it. And it was a completely different company. And I completely lost my shirt on the project because I undercharged. I think I charged them like literally $5,000 for an entire bathroom reno. Like, what? What the hell?
We live and we learn.
I was just going to say, we live and we learn. And you know what? I'm not afraid to say that I made those mistakes. It helped me learn. Unfortunately, it was with someone else's property, but I took care of it, and I I fixed what I needed to do, just like I would do now, just like that garage I had to redo, right? Like, I'm never going to leave anybody in the dust. I will never do that. And when I hear stuff about, I think this is probably the only comments that bother me. When I hear things like that, like, oh, you don't take care of this or didn't take care of that, like it hurts because I do. And we become forgetful with certain things. I'm doing a million things a day. You think I can remember about something that happened 23 or 20 years ago? No. I deal with, I think we've got 16 jobs on our board right now. 16 jobs. That's usually 2 clients to each job. I'm dealing with over 30 clients a day.
Yeah.
And I try my hardest to maintain happiness and success throughout, but you can't please everybody. You can't.
Well, no. And it goes back to that point of, it's not about not making mistakes, because none of us will ever achieve perfection, right? We will make mistakes. It's what you do about it when you make those mistakes and how you handle the situation. So let's chat a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people who especially women, are listening to your story. They've listened to my story and they've said, yes, I agree. I'm having a hard time out in the field being a woman. It's so hard. It's so challenging. I want to own my own business. I want to own my own all-female auto repair or construction or flight crew or whatever, right? I want to own my own thing. Talk to me about the process of becoming a business owner, the reality of being a business owner. Like, let's talk about that a little.
Like real rawness.
Yeah, let's real talk this.
It's exhausting. It is mentally, physically, emotionally exhausting. I was just telling my mom and brother the other day, because they work with me here in the office, and my mom does all of our ordering our materials, and my
Nice.
brother does all our social media, amongst many other things as well. They wear just as many hats as me, let me tell you. I said to my mom the other day, I go, I'm so tired. Oh gosh, I forgot my point. Oh man. Oh, I hate that. What were we saying? We were talking about
how exhausting being a business owner is, the reality of it.
The reality of it. And just your emotions can sometimes get the best of you. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I find that when I'm 100% in my business, I can't be 100% personally in my personal life. So relationships are difficult. Friendships are difficult. Relationships with my family are difficult, because when you're in the trades or construction industry, I don't know what it's like for auto and stuff like that, but when you're in the trades, you have to be on all the time. Remember those 30 plus clients I was saying? They're always in the back of my head. Did I do this? Did I do that? Oh my God, I forgot to call this inspection. Let me do it now. And it's 11 o'clock at night.
Sure.
So I will say, being a business owner in any aspect, whether it's auto, construction, a supermarket, you're always going to have those trials and tribulations, and you're going to have those struggles, but you'll prevail if you want to. That's the reality of it. And I say, if you have a dream and you have a vision, and this is something that you really want to get into, I'm speaking mostly for construction from that perspective, then just do it. But it's not everything that meets the eye. People will look at me and they think, oh my God, you're so lucky. Do you know how many times I hear, oh my God, you're so lucky? And I'm like, oh yeah, smiling, thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Luck? No. Luck is, I used to work 16 hours a day, okay, to get my name out there and my clientele up. I spent countless of dollars advertising. I have bent over backwards for people. I have done everything in my power. And you know what? Even with staff, I realized that you're only as good as the last bad thing you do, right?
Mhm.
You could do so much for somebody while they're employed with you or while they're in your life. And then the last thing you do, if you fire them or you do this or that, that's what they remember,
Mhm.
right? So the way I got into this was I just started. Okay. My parents were in the industry. My mom was in the flooring industry. She works for me today. My dad was a contractor. He's retired now. And I started laying tiles with my dad when I was literally 7 years old.
Wow.
So I was kind of born into it, and I ventured off. I tried other things when I was in my teens, and then I started realizing that, wow, you know what? I could make a real living off of this. And then when I found this little niche of being an all female company, that's when things really started taking off. And we are very niche. Not everybody will use us. Not everybody is comfortable using us. A lot of people don't think we are capable of doing the work that we do. In fact, sometimes I'll stand at a project of mine that I've completed and I think, how the hell am I doing this? Like, how am I building this 3-story house? You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, like I'm really doing this. But it's like, just go for it. Just go for it. Like, if you have that dream, you have that vision, just step inside the world of construction and then work for someone else. See if it's even for you. But I'll tell you, working for someone else versus working for yourself is night and day.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, okay, so there's a lot there. I appreciate that you say go work for somebody else first, because I think that, like, you might have been a little bit of an exception to the rule because you grew up in it, right?
Yes.
Like, so you've been doing it, you've been around it, and you were able to go out on your own at 18 and do projects on your own because you had been doing it for forever. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it is really important for people to have experience working in the workforce first. Like, learn what not to do, learn what works and what doesn't work. I
Yeah.
think very often, especially young women in the trades, like, and I get it, like, we're frustrated with the work situation, so we're like, screw this, I'm gonna go start my own business, and like maybe jump into it a little too soon, or coming from that idealistic place of looking at someone like you and thinking, oh my gosh, they're so lucky. It's so much easier when you own your own business. So I appreciate that you're like, yes, do it. Absolutely do it. And at the same time, like, y'all, it's hard. It is not
But
easy.
tread lightly. um, yeah, like it's crazy. I did work for other people too, though. When I was 16, 17, 18, 19. So that block of about 4 years there, I was working for somebody else. And actually the guy that I was working for, he told me, he goes, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Go open your own paint company."
Really?
Yeah, he did. He was very cool. Very, very cool guy. And he worked for all the nightclubs downtown. He used to do a lot of work for all the like literally the nightclubs in the downtown Toronto.
Okay.
And he'd take me with him. And just after I think about a year, he was like, just go. He's like, you'll be fine. And I encourage other people to do that too. I just think that a lot of people think it's easier than it really is, right? Like, let's take, for example, someone that's worked for me previously, right? You're guaranteed a paycheck every week. You know exactly what you're bringing home. I offer my staff bonuses. I offer them, if they bring us clients and we get the job, I give them a percentage. I have a lot of different little cool things and cool ways that they can make extra money aside from their hourly or daily wages. So let's take one of them, for example. You go out there. So let's say you're making, I don't know, $7,000 a month, $6,000 a month. Then you go out there. Now you have a family. You need to make sure that you are accounting for all of these things when you're opening your own company. People forget, they don't realize, what they need and how much money you need to sustain a business of this nature. Whether you have 1 employee or 7, that means you're feeding a family of 1 if you have 1 employee, or you're feeding a family of 7 if you have 7 employees. Like, I put food on 15 people's tables every single week.
Yeah. And if we don't have the money, if the company doesn't have the money, guess who goes without? The boss, right? Because we are responsible for paying for our family and for feeding our team, right? So employees get paid first. I remember, it's funny you say that. I remember an employee of mine 100 years ago. And it's very typical employee mindset, right? And it's not their fault. Again, fish in water doesn't know their wit, right? So
Exactly. Yep.
when we closed out like a $2,000 repair ticket, not a big deal, $2,000, right? You're doing tickets that are like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the employee sees the total sale, right? They see that total sale and they think, oh, you must be rolling in it. He's like, well, there's another $2,000 in your bank account. You must be happy. And I'm like, that's not the way this works. You understand that, right? Because there's the parts I have to pay, the taxes I have to pay, the labor I have to pay, the utilities, the rent, the like, like I actually got to keep like $20 of that.
I'm so glad you said that, because something like that recently happened to me, and I'm not going to go into it because it's very whatever. But this person was definitely seeing that, and they were probably like, holy shit, Anastasia's just banking, rolling in the dough. But when we charge, let's say we charge like, I don't know, $15,000 for a typical shower renovation. $15,000, okay? Let's take 2 employees for 3 or 4 weeks at $35 to $40 an hour. That's already like over $5,000 of labor cost. Okay. $5,000 of labor cost. Then you have your materials, which is likely another $5,000 to $7,000. Then you have WSIB, insurance. You have all the calculations of gas, vehicles, because we provide gas, vehicles, phones for our staff.
Okay.
By the time I turn around, also my time to go to the jobs, make sure everything's running smoothly, paying the trades, another $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. We're lucky to walk away with, the business is lucky to walk away with $800.
Yeah.
After you do all the calculations.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that people don't see, and it's not their fault because they just don't know. But I think it's so important for people to realize before wanting to go into business for themselves. And I always laugh when I hear businesses, you hear on social media, you hear on podcasts, you hear these, folks bragging about my business made $2 million. That's great. How much of it did you keep? Right? Because there's how much the company makes on the top line. And then there's the bottom line, which most people don't understand. There's gross profits and there's net profits. And net profits are generally very small in comparison. So yeah, your company made $2 billion. That's beautiful. How much of it did you keep? What's your actual profit margin? And nobody likes to talk about that part of it.
No, because it's a very unrealistic number. And I find, like, I don't know what it's like over where you're at, but here in Toronto, people are so like all about money and showing off and this and that. And how much can you do? And how much did I make? It's like, who cares? Like, what are we really after in this life? Like, what do we really want? Like, I ask myself this all the time. Anastasia, what makes you happy? And oftentimes it's hard to answer myself because I'm like, I love what I do. But then I also hate what I do because it drives me nuts. And sometimes when a client's giving me shit, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I wish you could see what I've done for you in your project. I wish you could see it. Because if you videotape my daily life in this industry, I'm telling you, 98% of people can't do it. My brother and my mother watch me here and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. And people say that to me all the time. I have one of my best friends is a bartender, and I said to her, come with me for the day. I said, just come with me for the day. She's like, oh, I want to own my own business so bad. I said, come with me for the day. She goes, okay. The end of the day, her hair was frazzled.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, Stace, which is what people call me for short. She's like, oh, I will never say boo to you again. Like, my phone rang off the hook for literally 9 hours while we were together. And I have a work phone. Oh, any of the business owners out there, always try and separate your work and your personal life. It will make all of the difference. Set your hours. It's okay to say no to people, and make sure you're making the right decisions for you. One of the best things I did in my life was separating my phones.
Yeah.
And I know we're going off so many
That's
conversations.
okay. That's because we're both business owners. We both have total ADHD brain where we're chasing all of the squirrels all of the time. It's just the way it is. It is just the way it is.
Podcast, I'm thinking like, what am I forgetting to do later? Don't forget to call this inspection or this inspector.
Right, of course. Of course.
Kind of going back to, having your own business and what to do and how to get started. One thing I did several years ago, like I said, was separating my work and personal life. And I think that was my saving grace, because I was having clients calling me at 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. I had one customer call me once at 1 a.m. to make sure I didn't forget to frame out a niche in their bathroom. This is like years ago. This is like 4 years ago. And I'm like, it was that call. I swear to gosh, the next day, I went out and I got myself a second phone. I said to all my friends, here's my new personal phone number. And I've kept that ever since. And I keep strict hours, 9 to 5 usually. At 5:36, my phone goes in my cabinet at home, and I don't look at it till the next morning at 8 o'clock.
Amazing.
And same with the weekends. Weekends are for me. They're for my friends and my family. Okay. And the evenings are for me to digest everything I went through the day. And I'm telling you, sometimes it's exhausting. It's so difficult. Like when you're dealing with these huge projects where there's all these moving parts, I'm telling you, my brain never shuts off. It's also important. You got to take time for yourself. I don't know about you, but if I don't leave the city every 3 to 4 months, I go nuts. That's where I shut down. And even still, I'm working, whether I'm in Niagara Falls or I'm at my cottage or whatever I'm doing. If I don't shut down for a couple of days, I can't get refocused. And my family used to get mad at me all the time. Like, you shouldn't leave the city for, a few days. And then when they started working for me, they're like, oh shit. Okay.
You need to leave the city.
My mom now, she's like, get out of here.
Go. So you said something earlier about, when you're 100% in your business, you're not able to be 100% anywhere else. And I think that is definitely something that I think a lot of business owners struggle with. Do you feel like, since you've made these kind of stronger rules for yourself and boundaries for yourself around when you answer the phone and not taking it home and getting out of town periodically, has that helped, or does it still feel like you're having to choose one or the other?
You know what? I won't put it lightly. This business always has its hand around my throat. Okay. And I know a lot of business owners won't experience that, because construction is very different than owning a grocery store or owning a retail store where you can turn off the lights at the end of the day. I'm sure that people have their own struggles in every aspect, but I find that when you put up those boundaries, and I used to never say no to clients, ever. And now I will. Now I appreciate all of my clients. I will literally bend over backwards for them. I will do almost anything in my power that I can to make somebody happy. But like I said, there's that few percentage that no matter what you do, you can't, and they'll talk all the shit they want and whatever. But if you create those hard boundaries, you will see a difference in your personal life versus your business life. So I'm one of those people, there's two people with cell phones. You either have 1,000 messages or you have zero, right? I have to check everything. I can't have a little red notification on my iPhone. It drives me crazy. So I was one of those people that when those clients were calling me at 11 o'clock at night, I was answering.
Right.
I was answering. I messaged that guy back at 1 o'clock in the morning and I said, don't worry, I won't forget. And I'm like, what the hell
am I doing?
Yeah. And so, short answer, yes, it definitely helps. Long answer is what I just explained. Yeah, you'll never shut your brain off. You're always going to be constantly thinking because you want to make people happy. At the end of the day, when you stand back and you look at a kitchen you've done, or you literally built a 3-story house, and you're looking at that house, even though it may have taken a month longer than it should have, you're standing and you're looking at it and you're thinking, holy shit, I did this. And that's what I am still here for. Otherwise, let me tell you, I'd be selling coconuts on a beach somewhere. Literally, don't care. I would live in a hammock. Okay.
I love the theme. Okay, we might actually be sisters from another mister, because I literally, like, every time because I think as business owners, we fall in and out of love with our business, right? There's
Oh, yeah.
times when we like love our business, when we think we wouldn't change it for anything. And then there's times when we hate our business. And my
Yes.
go-to is always, I'm just going to sell everything and I'm going to sell watermelons on the beach in Tahiti. Like, that is like,
Because it's tranquility that we seek.
yes.
And what's more tranquil than selling something on a beach?
Right. Although, interestingly, notice we don't ever say I'm going to go work for somebody else. It's just that I'm going to go have a business selling fruit on a beach.
Oh my God, why is that so true and accurate?
Because once you work for yourself, it's really hard to work for somebody else.
Yeah. You know what? I couldn't imagine it, to be honest. I've worked for a couple of people in my timeline, and there's no way I could go back to it. Like, sometimes I'll come into the office and my mom will be like, "What's wrong, honey?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go. I can work for someone else." And she looks at me and she's like, "Come on, Stacey, you're not working for anyone else." Imagine the schedule. I'd lose it.
Right. Like, but could you really? No, you couldn't. Right.
No way.
But I think it's so important for people to see that, right? Because going back to that, like, idealization, it's really easy on social media. It's really easy to look at you and go, oh my gosh, she's got it made. Everything must be perfect. She must be like dancing on clouds of sunshine and fairy tales every day. And it's like, no, the reality is sometimes we hate it. Sometimes we want to run away and sell watermelons on the beach in Tahiti. Sometimes we want to sell everything and we just want to say, F it all.
Yes.
And that's okay. Right?
I'm looking directly at all of you that think that, and it's not. We're not okay. We're business owners. It's crazy. It's not what it looks like. It's not what meets the eye. It's not all it seems. And social media is the biggest liar. Okay.
Yep. And yet we will also both say, most likely, if you really want to do it, we encourage you wholeheartedly. Just go in eyes wide open, right? Like, just go in knowing that there's going to be times that you're going to hate it. And it's okay. Like, that's okay for you to hate it once in a while.
It's kind of the fun of it too. Like, how I can go from like an amazing day to a completely shit day. And then at the end of the day, it's like a perfect day. And I'm just like looking around like in a whirlwind. Like, what did I just go through? I went through all 4 seasons, 7 different emotions in the span of 1 hour. Like, what? Who am I?
A special breed of human being to be a business owner.
It does. And not everyone's cracked up to be a business owner, and I'll try people out in like the managerial positions and roles. And you know what? People, they last 2 years and then they can't do it. Yeah. They end up working for someone else. And I tried, like, there was somebody I was interested in to create a larger Fix It Females with. And I said, okay, let me put you in this position. And they couldn't even let someone go. They couldn't even fire someone. They couldn't hire someone. They couldn't give people direction or get people in trouble. And you know, I'm a pretty easygoing boss. Like I said before, I don't like controversy. I don't like arguments, but I will when I have to, you know,
Sure.
and if it's worth it. But you know, it you can't be a softie. Like you can't be, how do I say it? You can't be, I want to say my sister, but you don't know my sister. Like so nice. She could never be like a business owner. She would be lost. She wouldn't know what to do because she doesn't have like that bone in her body where you have to be strong and boundaries and say no to people. And you know what I mean? It's like it requires a very certain type of personality and a certain type of person, like that go-getter attitude. And not everybody has that. And that's okay. There's cooks, there's chefs, and there's wait staff, and there's business owners. There's all different.
And business owners do all of it. You're the head cook and the chief bottle washer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No matter how you slice and dice it or how lightly you want to tread around those subjects, you can't. It just is what it is.
Yep.
Right?
So I want to touch on a couple of things in our last little bits of time, without going down too many massive rabbit holes here. As a tradesperson, right, you deal with the broader society that like doesn't necessarily always have a lot of respect for tradespeople. And then as a woman and as a lesbian woman, you deal with all of the biases against those two groups, especially within the trades. And you own a company that embraces all of that and says, we're a bunch of women within the trades and we're going to blow up all of these stereotypes. Which, if you can rank them, which is harder to deal with? The people who kind of see the trades as less than, or the people within the trades who see women as less than?
Oh man, that's tough. I would say people within the trades. That's my hardest thing. Because I want to be at par. I want to be here. I want to be, you know, digging the excavation out too. Yeah. And having somebody that owns a company that's doing the same thing I'm doing tell me I'm incapable of doing that drives me mad. You know, I think the most common misconception of women in the trades is that we're all gay. I'm the only lesbian in my company. Well, one other girl now, but like, you know, everyone's like, you're just a bunch of dykes. Like,
right.
Know?
You're actually the minority. I think I know far fewer lesbian female tradespeople than straight female tradespeople.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
People
yet it is totally the stereotype. You're 100% right.
It is. Oh my God. My brother told me about this comment the other day on our social media where we say like 5 guys, burgers and fries, like we reference them. And this guy goes, more like 5 non-binaries. Like, I'm sorry.
What?
4 out of 5 of us have families and are heterosexual, straight identifying people. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, my staff will look at me and they're like, I'm not a lesbian. I'm like, just roll with it. It's fine. Like,
I know. It has been assumed about me since like I was in high school. It's not true. I don't care if people assume that I'm a lesbian because it's not an insult to me. It's not true, but it's also not an insult. But it's just our society just has this thing where if you like to do things that are prescribed to be guy things, then you therefore must be a lesbian. I'm like,
yep.
No, that's not the way that works. And we're not man haters either, necessarily.
I love men. Can I just put that out there for the record?
Me too.
I love guys. I'm not a man-hating lesbian. Like, what the hell? You know, it's so funny. Like, it's just crazy what people come up with. I have no problems with anything. Like, it is what it is. But I just
I
want
know
to
this
say
may come as a shock to a lot of the men that make those comments, right? I can be pro woman and not hate men.
thank you. It's so
Those are two
true.
different things. Two
Hmm.
totally different things. But
But for some reason, it's
gotta love it. All right, so it's the battles within the trades that is harder. I totally agree with you. With the consumers, with the customers, that's an education thing. Like we can help them. We
yeah.
can help them understand. But all
Okay.
right. So we're running out of time, and I know you have a very busy day and a lot on your plate with your many hats. So, my final question to ask you that I always like to end on is: if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to little baby you, little baby Stacia, what what is your advice to her?
Oh gosh. I guess it would depend what phase of my life, but just like in business wise, you mean, right?
Just in
I would
general, little baby you that like who whatever part in your life that you feel like could use to be gone back and spoken to.
okay, I would say be yourself and go for it when you think of it. I spent a lot of time in my childhood procrastinating because I was scared to do something. So I think I would say just do it without hesitation, ask questions, put your right foot forward, and just go for it. Yeah, that's what I would
Awesome.
say.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Thank you so very much for agreeing and making time in your insanely busy day to hang out with me for this last hour. I had a ton of fun getting to know you. I hope we stay connected offline more, and just keep kicking butt. I know it's hard, and I know you fall in and out of love with business, but you're doing an amazing job, and keep at it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being here, and it's been awesome talking to you as well. I'm sure we'll definitely stay connected, and I wish you all the luck and success as well.
Awesome. Thanks, girl.
Thank
Well, enjoy
you.
the rest of your evening, and guys at home, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed meeting Anastasia as much as I did. Make sure you go check out her links down below. Check out some of
Yeah.
her videos. Give her some support.
Thanks, everybody, and take care. And you keep kicking ass too. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Make sure you come back next Monday for an archive episode and next Wednesday for another live episode with another fantastic tradeswoman. So, 2 times a week, you get opportunities to check out With Her Two Hands and meet another incredible tradeswoman kicking butt out in the world every day. Again, guys, with your support is how we change the world. So, I thank you guys for being part of this revolution, part of this journey to normalize women in the trades. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, share this episode with a friend or somebody who you think could use to see it and might benefit from a little dose of inspiration and meeting this incredible trades lady. And make sure you come back next week. And until then, be good to yourselves, be good to one another, be good human beings. And we'll see